My name is Anna, and I'm 37 years old. I've been married to my husband, John, for 19 years. John is 59, and while our age difference has never been an issue lately, it feels like everything about our relationship is falling apart. We have two beautiful daughters, Emily, who's 18, and Lily, who's just 1 year old. On the surface, our life seems stable. John works as a project manager at a construction firm, and I've been a stay-at-home mom since Lily was born. But beneath the surface, our marriage is crumbling, and I feel like I'm drowning in a sea of betrayal and heartbreak. It all started a few months ago, when I noticed John acting differently. He'd come home late from work, his phone always buzzing with notifications he'd quickly dismiss. At first, I brushed it off. Maybe he was just stressed about work. But then one evening, I found a receipt in his jacket pocket. It was from a fancy restaurant downtown, a place we hadn't been to in years. My heart sank. Why would John be dining at a place like that without me? I tried to push the thought out of my mind, but the nagging feeling wouldn't go away. One night, after putting Lily to bed, I decided to confront him. "John," I said, my voice trembling, "is there something you're not telling me?" He looked up from his laptop, his expression unreadable. "What are you talking about, Anna?" "I found this," I said, holding up the receipt. "Why were you at LaBelle?" He hesitated for a moment, then shrugged. It was a work dinner, nothing to worry about. But I could tell he was lying. His eyes darted away, and his voice had a defensive edge to it. I wanted to believe him, but deep down, I knew something was wrong. A few weeks later, I discovered the truth. John had been having an affair. His girlfriend's name was Sarah, and she was 38, just a year older than me. She was married too, with a daughter of her own. I found out by accident when I overheard him on the phone one night. He was whispering, his voice soft and tender in a way it hadn't been with me in years. My heart broke into a million pieces. The next day, I confronted him. "John, I know about Sarah," I said, my voice shaking. "How could you do this to us? To our family?" He didn't even try to deny it. Instead, he got angry. "Why are you snooping around, Anna? You're making a big deal out of nothing." "Nothing?" I cried. "You're cheating on me, John. How is that nothing?" He glared at me, his face red with anger. "I'll end it when I want to. You can't tell me what to do." His words cut deeper than I could have imagined. I felt like I was losing not just my husband, but the life we had built together. I cried myself to sleep that night, wondering how things had gotten so bad. The days that followed were a blur of pain and confusion. I tried to focus on the girls, but it was hard. Emily, my oldest, could sense that something was wrong. She'd always been close to her father, but now she avoided him, her eyes filled with disappointment. One evening, she tried to talk to him. "Dad, what you're doing is wrong," she said, her voice trembling. "Please, just stop." But John didn't take it well. He snapped at her, saying things no father should ever say to his daughter. I felt helpless, watching the man I loved hurt our child. Meanwhile, Lily was too young to understand what was happening, but I worried about her future. I wanted her to grow up in a happy, stable home, but how could I provide that when our family was falling apart? The stress started to take a toll on me. I couldn't sleep, I couldn't eat, and I felt exhausted all the time. I went to the doctor, who told me I was suffering from severe stress and anxiety. "You need to rest," he said. "But how can I rest?" I thought. I had a baby to take care of, bills to pay, and a marriage to save. John's behavior only got worse. He started staying out all night, claiming he was working late. He'd come home in the morning, his clothes wrinkled and his breath smelling of alcohol. I'd ask him where he'd been, but he'd just snap at me. "Stop asking questions, Anna. I'm tired of this." One day he announced he was going on a trip. "Where are you going?" I asked, trying to keep my voice steady. "Just a weekend getaway," he said, not meeting my eyes. "Can we come with you?" I asked, hoping he'd say yes, but he shook his head. "No, I need some time alone." I felt a lump in my throat. Alone? Or with her? As the weeks went by, I noticed our finances were getting tighter. John had always been good with money, but now our bank account was dwindling. I checked the statements and saw charges for expensive gifts, fancy dinners, and hotel stays. He was spending our money on her. I felt like I was losing control of everything. My marriage, my finances, even my own emotions. I confided in my best friend, Claire, who's been my rock through all of this. "Anna, maybe you should leave him," she said gently. "You deserve better." But the thought of leaving John terrified me. I had no job, no income, and 2 children to support. The apartment was in my name, but we'd taken out a loan together, and I couldn't afford the payments on my own. I felt trapped, like there was no way out. My family tried to offer comfort. "Be strong, Anna," my mother said. "Maybe John will come to his senses and come back to you." But I wasn't sure I believed that anymore. Every time I tried to talk to John, he'd either get angry or shut down completely. It was like he didn't care about me or our family anymore. All he cared about was her. One night, after another argument, I sat on the edge of our bed, tears streaming down my face. I thought about the life we'd built together, the good times, the bad times, the memories we'd made. I still loved John, even after everything he'd done. But I couldn't keep living like this, in a constant state of heartbreak and uncertainty. The next morning, I made a decision. I wasn't going to let John's actions define me anymore. I was going to take control of my life, for the sake of my daughters and for myself. I started looking for part-time work, something I could do from home while taking care of Lily. I reached out to a lawyer to understand my options, and I began therapy to help me process everything I was feeling. It hasn't been easy. There are days when I feel overwhelmed, when the weight of it all feels too heavy to bear, but I'm learning to take it one day at a time. I'm learning to be strong, not just for my girls, but for myself. John and I are still living under the same roof, but we're more like strangers than spouses. He hasn't ended things with Sarah, and I've stopped waiting for him to change. I don't know what the future holds, but I do know this. I deserve better. My daughters deserve better, and no matter how hard it gets, I'm going to fight for the life we deserve.